Big Sills! Man, I mean, front and center every single day. The NFL and all of their news. NBA playoffs, baseball, all takes a second page when it comes to the National Football League. You got owners' meetings next week in Phoenix, the 26th and 28th. Then you're going to roll into the NFL draft. Then you're going to roll into mini camps. The NFL never takes a day off. It never takes a day off. By the way, we're efforting today, Phil Simms. Tone's like this, Sills, any guests today? I'm like, I'm waiting on Phil. He's trying to get out of production meetings, and we're hopefully going to be able to get Phil Simms on with us today. So we'll keep you abreast of that. I want to start the show off with this. I want to start it off with Jalen Hurts. Not a bad thing. It's a negotiation thing. Okay? This is not whether or not he's good or elite or any of that other bullshit. It's got nothing to do with that. Let me ask you, how many people have ever had this or experienced this? Your boss coming to you before your contract is up and says, you know, you're doing such a great job. Let's rip the contract up, and here's a brand new one for more money. I've never had that happen. I've been under contract since I was 19 years old. Scholarships, professional football contracts, broadcasting contract. I've never had a company come to me and go, hey, I'm going to rip this up. They've always had me, and I would assume you live out the length of the contract. Do you agree with me? Right now, I wonder if the Eagles are in the position where they look at Jalen Hurts as, if we're going to address this contract now, when you still got a year remaining on your deal, we expect some type of hometown discount. The Eagles are under no obligation to pay him now. Zero obligation. Zero. Now, that dynamic will change the closer you get to the start of the season in September. That's when you truly have more leverage. Jalen Hurts doesn't have the leverage here. The Eagles do. By addressing the contract early. Am I wrong? By the way, I'm not saying they're not going to. I'm not saying walk away from anything. Don't you think? How about, let's just do you for instance here. Let's just throw this at you. Wouldn't you feel obligated if your boss came to you and said, hey, you know what, dude? Last 2 years, you've been brilliant. You've grown so much. You helped us get to a Super Bowl a year ago. Let's get a new contract on the table. As a player, I might go, man, you know, I got $4 million next year. Do I want to really roll through the tape like Lamar Jackson did in Baltimore? Do I want to be that guy? That's right, Yacht. Do you want this to fester into Lamar Jackson or not? Hey, I don't believe that the contract negotiations are going to go sideways, and nor do I believe the Hurts contract talks are in any way going to go out of hand and off the reservation. I do not believe that at all. However, it is contract negotiations. Okay? Hey, Neil. Neil goes, job security does play a big part in this. Hey, Neil, wouldn't you feel if you're Jalen, man, they're addressing the contract early. And by the way, I don't give a shit what Baltimore does. I don't care what Kansas City, Cincinnati. It has no bearing on how we do business here in Philadelphia. Has no bearing. Let those teams and the Jets and all those other teams deal with what they have to deal with. Deal with your own sandbox. Doesn't job security mean something? The Eagles are under no obligation to address this. They don't have to. They want to. I think this is how you get the hometown discount. Now, am I saying less money than Lamar or less money than Kyler? I'm not. I'm talking about parameters, framework. I'm talking more that. Okay? I think it's more. Wouldn't you feel? Man, it's pretty cool, the Philadelphia Eagles. Hey, by the way, does Howie address other players before their deals are up? Don't they traditionally give the Eagles a hometown discount? Every time Howie's gone to a player, every player, that's the Eagle way. That's the NovaCare way. Okay, I'm just saying. I thought about that, and I'm like, me addressing this, I would feel that I would want him to work with me even more now. Now, again, like I said, at the end of the day, 2023 season starts, all bets are off. They got complete leverage. But the leverage will be in how he plays. It's a gamble. Then you're in the Baltimore Ravens camp. Then you're going down that avenue of, will Jalen ever sit out a game because he's not 100%? All of that shit could play a factor, and no one wants to go near what happened in Baltimore with Lamar Jackson last year. Nobody wants to go down that line. Nobody wants to see it, and I don't even think Jalen wants to see it. Okay? But to me, this is where you get maybe a hometown discount. Addressing the contract early. Okay? And again, I'm not saying don't. I'm not even talking about how much. I'm saying I think the Eagles expect some type of framework that favors them and does exactly what Patrick Mahomes did. Gives them off-ramps if they have to re-sign players. Restructuring of contracts. All this is going to be predicated on how Jalen plays, though. If he can carry a team like Mahomes, which is yet to be seen. He had the perfect world last year. He won't this coming year. He will not. That is a gamble, too, on their camp. You got to remember something, too, if you're Clutch Sports. They've got to know this. The team coming back as of March 23rd is not the same team or remotely close to the same team as what you had in 22. Some go, Sills, well, last year they had a lot of new additions, a lot of veteran new additions. This year you're going to have a lot of people in the draft. Inexperience. Potential talk. And what do I tell you about potential? That means you haven't done it yet. Let's move on to this next one here. And it wraps itself around Jalen again. What's the most important thing for the Eagle football team going into 2023? Just a couple ideas on what you think. If the Eagles are going to make it back to the NFC Championship game, what's the most significant thing that they have to have happen for them to have success this year? What's the most significant thing? Okay? What's the most significant thing? Most significant thing that has to happen for Hurts and the Eagles to get back to the NFC Championship game? What's the most significant thing? Plug says, Jurgens plays well. You're almost in the room with me. You're almost in the room with me, my friend. Okay? You're almost in the room. Didn't you say we were over the cap last week? According to the NFL Players Association, which I posted, Yes, they are $7 million over the cap. I don't give a shit what anyone says. The NFL Players Association posted it. It's on my Twitter page at Dan Sileo Show. According to the NFLPA, not the media, the NFLPA. Go look at it. You're going to listen to some meathead salary cap guy, or are you going to listen to the NFL Players Association who keeps an eyeball on this? It's posted. Not my intel. It's the league's intel. It's the Players Association. Go read it. Look at Troy Health. Okay, Troy, I think you're right there. AJ and Hurts and Smitty continuing their great chemistry. Like that. We need a premier running back. I'm going to make a proclamation here. For the Philadelphia Eagles to continue the success of Jalen Hurts' growth and to continuing to be better, you need to draft Bijan Robinson. I don't care how you do it. The number one priority in this draft is Bijan Robinson. Here's why. I found out last night he's the third-rated player in the NFL draft. Who is more essential to the health and success of that football team? That is whether or not Jalen can play 17 ball games. Bijan Robinson, if you got to take him at 10, take him at 10. If it's not your history, he's the third best player on the board. Jalen Carter, Will Anderson, and B.J. Robinson is ranked the third best player. The Eagles need to protect Hurts, take the carries down. He was on pace for over 200 carries last year. I heard this last night, and I'm thinking too much like normal dudes do here with this. How about this? Let me ask you something here. Is this Philadelphia Eagles team, is it now an offensive-minded team? Is this an offensive team now? Have the Eagles morphed into being an offensive team? Are they an offensive team? Yes or no? Are they an offensive team? Yes. Then continue to improve the offense. Hugh Douglas says having a great defense is a luxury. You've got to make sure. You have to. Do you know they're comparing B.J. Robinson, some scouts, to Adrian Peterson? If you're going to pass on Adrian Peterson, you know what was funny? I'm going to give you a little history lesson on Big Sills. I remember when they were looking and they were drafting in Tampa, and I'll never forget. They were looking around and they were doing this and they were doing that. And I think they drafted Cadillac Williams, who wasn't even the starter at Auburn. And I remember telling Bruce Allen, if you guys pass on Adrian Peterson, you guys are nuts. He goes, he's got a shoulder injury. Yeah, but he doesn't have a knee injury. Okay? This guy is a once-in-a-lifetime back. You got to draft him. Nope. Passed on him. Passed on him. My opinion? See, if Jalen Hurts was a traditional passer, I'd be like, hey, you got to get as many wideouts, O-linemen in here as possible. But you need a productive back to keep that guy healthy. Don't you think this would have made more sense in Chicago? If you had a guy like B.J. Robinson or Adrian Peterson, you know what I would have done as I was coming down the stretch versus a 4-win freaking football team? I would have given that guy the ball 32 times instead of getting my quarterback banged up. Why in the world would I want Jalen Hurts banged up in Chicago? Makes no sense. Stupid. The situational play calling in Chicago dictates that because of the RPO system. Jalen's the OC. He's going to know, and sometimes he's got to carry the ball against a 4-win team. Dude, you need to have production. Dude, one of the reasons why the team had great success is because you had a 1,300-yard back. Albeit, man, there's times when he's Casper the Ghost, here today, gone tomorrow. I get it. When I was told this last night from a couple of general managers that, you know what they told me? I said, man, if Jalen Carter falls down to 10, you know what one of the general managers told me last night? He goes like this, dude, if that's me and I got a quarterback like him, I'm going after that running back of Texas. They need that guy more than they need a right guard. I was like, really? Well, if you're going to run an RPO, didn't he run out of gas a little bit towards the end of the season? He got banged up. I go, I don't know about running out of gas, but he did get hurt. He goes, dude, what happens to these RPO quarterbacks by the end of the season? They're nicked up, banged up, and this is why sometimes their passes float high, and they tend to throw interceptions. He goes, you ever watch Cam Newton? Cam is awesome in the first 10 games of the season. Watch him in his prime. As the season went on, he got hit more. He starts ducking, passes go high. I'm like, he goes, that's why Carolina always had a great running attack, was to protect that guy. Pro Football Focus is the dumbest thing on the planet. Run by a guy who's the analyst for Sunday Night Football, Chris Collinsworth. Okay, it's an opinion. It's nothing more. It's not the litmus test of what's right or wrong in the NFL. It's run by an analyst. That's Chris Collinsworth's website, really. Most of you guys complain when you hear him on Sunday Night Football, but you take verbatim what his website says? Give me a break. Which is it? Do you like him or not? Because it's the same guy. It's the same guy. Chris Collinsworth, I can't listen to him. He sucks out loud, and I hate him. But that Pro Football Focus, man, they do such it's the same dude. It's the same guy. He owns it. Stupid. Am I wrong when I say, though, a right guard, an offensive lineman, or a guy who's ranked the third best player in the draft? My opinion, you go get B.J. Robinson for Jalen. The number one priority is Hurts' health. Protect him. Protect him. Do you understand? I just told Tone this. Do you understand that instead of 17 carries in a game for Hurts, do you know what this will translate into? 11 yards a carry. I don't give a shit about how many yards per carry he has if he's carrying the ball 17, 18 times. If Jalen Hurts carries the ball 5 times a game and he's got 50 yards and 5 carries, dude, that's a massive improvement on health and productivity. Okay? My opinion, you trade out of 10. Get down there. Robinson will probably be floating around between 10 and 15. I'm going to make a point to you. Can I tell you why? I'm telling you, I think you need to draft him. The Dallas Cowboys are going to. They're going to move up to get him. It's going to be Tony Pollard and him. Do you want to see that? Good luck. You won't beat them again. Your biggest nemesis is the Cowboys. They're getting better, actually. It's quite stunning. They're getting better. They're improving their team. You put B.J. Robinson back there with Tony Pollard, you have built yourself back into contention. The Cowboys, from what I understand, talking to Stephen Jones, he's a Texas kid. This is a marriage made in heaven for them. The Dallas Cowboys are going to draft him if the Eagles don't. And in my opinion, you won't draft one player unless you get Will Anderson or Jalen Carter that will match what the Cowboys will do with B.J. Robinson. And that guy will be a nightmare for the next 5 years at least. Because now with running backs, I don't go past 5 years. That'll be a problem for you. Don't let the Cowboys get him. Okay? You're damn right, Miguel. You're damn right I said that. But now you're starting to hear more. You're damn right. I said that. I said, I'm not drafting a running back. After what I heard last night from 3 general managers who all said he's the 3rd best player in the draft. And then you start thinking about Hurts, a safety does shit for you. An edge rusher does shit for you. A running back that's in the same conversation as Adrian Peterson being ranked coming out of college does a ton for you. And if you move back, you win twofold. More picks and a player that protects your quarterback that you're going to make a $50 million investment with a committee of running backs and a couple guys in that old line in the next 3 years that will be retired. Lane Johnson and Jason Kelsey. You better have talented young players around that kid like you do at the perimeter. Because once that foundation continues to get older, can't win ball games from the perimeter, my friends. You win the NFL from the inside out, not outside in. Doesn't work that way. The Cowboys are going to get that kid because everybody in the media, as dumb as a box of rocks. Let me tell you what wins in the NFL. Eagles proved it last year. Run the ball, stop the run. Get after the quarterback. Hasn't changed since 1920, and that won't change. But like Tone said, Howie ain't drafting no running back. Okay. Drafting a safety who will sit on his ass or whatever. You don't even know the scheme. And you're going to take a shot at a stock on whether it hits or not. Wouldn't you take the best valued player? So let me get this right. It's more of a need, not the best player that you're drafting. Hey, you'll be in the same Jordan Davis boat. You took a guy who's not the 13th player. He's not a pass rusher. That's not the 13th player. Sorry. He's in the 20s. I'm not saying he's not a first rounder, but he's not near the top 10. He's shown none of that. You overdrafted him. Plain and simple, as they always do in the first round. I mean, if you think about it, the Eagles have gotten right. How many times in the first round in the last 5 years? Once? Devontae? Come on, man. It's because you're looking at a player and go, well, let's just draft this kid. You went to the combines, you got dazzled by him, and you drafted him. He's not the 13th pick. Maybe he evolves into it. But right now, he ain't. That dude in Texas is the 3rd ranked athlete. By his tape. By his tape. And you're going to take a safety from Oregon or a corner. How does that help you? The Eagles aren't going to win ball games next year on defense. Dude, you're going to play a defense that is this kind of defense. Hey, let's just hold them to 27 points. Let's keep it respectable. That's what that thing's going to be. We're going to hit on that here in a minute. And I'm going to show you how this all ties in. I'm going to show you how this all ties in here. Let's go here. With all that being said, what I just said, that defense is not going to win ball games. I don't think at all next year. How long before you think the Eagles will see a competitive defense next year? 5 new coaches. 5 new starters. How long before, I mean, I don't know about you, the turnover is not just on the field and the roster, it's on the staff. Paul goes, Big Sills, I'm drafting Skornowski. I think that's the offensive tackle from Northwestern. Then trade back up ahead of the Cowboys for Bijan. Dude, that's an ultimate dream right there. Man, I like that, Paul. You get the old lineman to replace Lane one day, drop that kid's ass at guard, and you get Robinson. That's a grand slam. You're protecting Hurts twice. O-line and a back that could be a 1,400-yard back for you. Dude, I love that. That's a great take. Now you're thinking, if I'm going to put $50 million into a kid, and if I can't have my defense up to par by the time September hit, by the way, okay, just seriously, how long do you think it's going to take for that defense to round itself into shape where it looks respectable? How long do you think that's going to be? How long do you think it's going to be? How long? How long do you think it'll take for that defense with a new scheme, a new coach, new players, young players, C free agents? All these guys they're signing are C students. How long? How 10 games, Paul says. Isn't that funny, Paul? That's how long it took Hassan Reddick to get into shape. And I'm not talking physical shape. Took him about 10 games, didn't it? For them to figure out how to use one player. But now we're going to sit here and talk about 5 new starters. How long do you think that will take? That's a great point, Paul. It took the Eagles 10 games to figure out Hassan Reddick last year. $10 games? With all the new players? Dude, I think it's going to be near November. Somewhere around November where you start to see a resemblance of a football team's defense starting to look like it's competitive. Your problem right now is going to be stopping the run. Okay? It's going to be stopping the run. Sills, I'm hurt. I said draft Nijan at 19, take the capital trade up 3 weeks ago. Congratulations to you. Way to go, Miguel. You were ahead of the curve. Okay. Congratulations. You get a merit badge. I think you're right now. I do. It's about get this. Bijan is more about protecting Hurts. It's more about protecting him. continuing the productivity. Those running backs that you have in your backfield right now are dudes. They're dudes. If you had Mahomes as your quarterback, that's a different conversation. You don't. Hey, that guy in Buffalo, Bijan Robinson to that team makes a ton of sense. Makes a ton of sense to Buffalo. That guy's going to get killed. As talented as he is, you know what he's kind of like? When I was a young kid, back in the day, there was a dude by the name of Burt Jones. He came out of LSU and he played for the Colts. I watched this guy. He was like an RPO guy. He could throw the ball all over. I think he won an MVP award. He was so freaking good. Ended up getting hurt, was never the same, and that was the end of him. This guy was like RG3 before RG3. He was so freaking good. This guy's name was Burt Jones. You guys probably never heard of him. But he was so good, man. But they didn't really, and if I'm not mistaken, too, I forget the running back from Penn State that played with Franco. He was in the backfield with him. They still didn't have enough. Just saying, man, you have to have, if you're going to run that RPO, man, you need somebody like Jamal Lewis back there to take the heat off. Can you imagine if Lamar had any, Lamar, when he was at his best, I think the year he won the MVP award, wasn't Mark Ingram on that team? Didn't Mark Ingram get 1,000 yards the year that he won the MVP award? I think Mark Ingram was on that team. Think about, and he led the NFL in touchdown passes. If I'm not mistaken, I think Ingram was on either that team or the year after. And Rocky Bleier went to Notre Dame. He didn't go to Penn State. Okay? He went to Notre Dame. Lydell Mitchell, that's it. Thank you, Manster. It was Mitchell and Franco at Penn State. Those two guys were spectacular. I mean, he was the unanimous MVP because he had a running game. It protected him. He played a ton of ball games that year. He's got no protection in Baltimore right now. None. And I think that's been part of the problem that Ozzie Newsome and those dudes in Baltimore have, is they don't have the personnel around him. Do you want Jalen Hurts to look like Lamar Jackson in 3 years from now because you got a committee back there? That's not going to get it done. That's not. The third best, he's the third best player, okay, in the draft. And you're going to pass on him for a corner. That to me, and by the way, let me give you a little insight on this Greedy Williams dude. He's been a bomb. He's never lived up to the second round pick in Cleveland. Never. Now maybe a different scheme, a different zip code. Slay wasn't killing it in Detroit. And he came to Philly and put up 3 absolutely great years. Maybe it changes. I don't know. But as of today, he bombed in Cleveland. He never lived up to that second round pick. I was talking to some of the people in Cleveland last night. They were like this. Then I talked to some of the folks in Chicago. The kid Morrow you signed? Dude, they graded up at the linebacker position with your dude. They hired your dude to grade up. Okay? So these picks, Man, all the guys that they've drafted, and again, to me, the move is Bradbury, restructuring of Slay, and Kelsey. Those are the three best moves. Those are the three best moves. Look at this person, Green, here, 116 tackles on the shittiest defense in the league. And? Great. And, if you talk about Kirk Cousins with empty calorie stats, that's empty calorie stats 10 times fold. Tony Pollard just signed also. Or I think it's on the table. His franchise tag of 10.091. That's what he's expected to make. Tony Pollard made $800,000 last year. He just got a $10 million raise, basically. $10 million bucks. Jerry's paying him. And I think they're going to draft a kid from Texas if he's there. Boy, I tell you, man, Dallas gets that kid. God forbid they get DeAndre Hopkins. There's word now DeAndre Hopkins is potentially going to Buffalo. I don't believe that for a second because he's scheduled to make like $1 trillion over the next 2 years. He would totally have to restructure his contract to be traded. He's not tradable right now. I think it's like 26 million bucks and then it's like 36 the next year. He's not tradable right now. It would completely have to be Arizona. And supposedly he wants more money. Dude, Hopkins is a game-changing type move if you get him. But it's something like $55 million over the next 2 years that you'd have to be obligated to pay him. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I got more issues on my football team, whoever it is, in paying one guy $55 million over the next 2 years, even with the cap moving up around 18% a year. Bijan Robinson is your guy. It protects Hurts, puts production back on your offense. Here, so how many people believe that Boston Scott, Kenneth Gainwell, and injury-prone Rashad Penny are going to put 1,300 yards and 11 touchdowns on the board this year as a collective group? You probably are paying in that whole thing there $3.5 million bucks for all three guys. And one guy never finishes the season and never has finished the season. Okay? All of a sudden, miraculously, he's going to run into the fountain of health. Now, Philly does have a nice track record the last 2 years of health. Like them walking into the Super Bowl with all 22 of their guys was unprecedented. I was completely wrong on that. I'm a believer that you got to take the hammer and chisel and you got to go to work, And so far, man, the last 2 years, they've been right. They've been right. They have been right. It's utterly, like Yale just said, it's remarkable that all 22 guys were on that football field. I mean, Derek Barnett aside, that's unprecedented. It was unbelievable. That's what makes losing that game suck even more. It was unreal. You never see it. Shit, the 17 team that won the Super Bowl didn't even roll into that game with that type of health. So to their credit, and that's a big win. It's a big win. Okay? It's a big win. For them to be able to have that kind of help. Maybe he does. And I think you do have to take in consideration how the Eagles take care of their players. I do think you see that Arizona, because they were rated by the NFL Players Association as one of the worst organizations on taking care of their players, they just fired their trainer. They fired their trainer because of numerous things, but that's one of the things. So you got to give Howie and the coaching staff and the medical staff at the NovaCare Center A+ for how they – there is no doubt if you're an NFL football player, the Eagles are an A-plus place to play for when it comes to player health. They take care of their guys like nobody else. They're always healthy. Knock on wood. Always healthy. And they're seemingly always ready to rock and roll. That's kudos to them. Not a lot of places can say that. Some places you walk, I mean, look at the 49ers last year. Beginning of the season, it was a mass unit. Okay? Can't blame the medical staff for Kyler Murray. Fly, I'm not. They are. They fired him. Okay? Fly, I'm not. They fired him. I'm just going by what their actions are, not by an opinion. You see, when you fire somebody, I go by their actions. You fired your trainer, okay? You don't want to blame Kyler Murray for injury on that? Okay, well, somebody's blaming him in Arizona. I'll say this to you. Let's do this. Here's the other topic. And by the way, like I said, I don't know if I answered the question before I move on. And by the way, we're efforting Phil Simms today. I think the defense will start to resemble something that you can be proud of in watching them stop people. Whew. I just don't know, man. How well does Davis play? Does Dean stay healthy? Are you going to get the same production out of Reddick? I'm going to say you're going to get the same production out of Reddick. You know why? Because Reddick's been – you know why Hassan Reddick is an elite pass rusher? You know why he's an elite pass rusher? He's done it for 4 years in a row. Okay? Okay, so that to me, that's a trend that he gets after people. And you can lean on a trend. He's not that old. And he's a double-digit guy. You know what makes, before I move on again, you know what makes that so insane? That he has 4 straight seasons of double-digit sacks. You know what's crazy about that? Jadeveon Clowney, his entire career, never had a double-digit sack season. And here's Hassan Reddick. He's got 4 in a row and 16 off of last year. Charbonneau in the second, better value? No way. He's not the 3rd-ranked player in the draft. So wait a minute here. Jay, if you get the 3rd best player in the draft at 14, you think a second rounder's better value? How? You got a value pick. Last year, you overdrafted. You overdrafted last year. Plain and simple. Hey, you put Jordan Davis on the open market, you ain't getting a 13th pick for that guy. You put Jalen Hurts on the open market, you're getting a top 5 pick. That's getting a value pick. You put Jalen Hurts in the open market and say, give me first rounders or a first rounder. You might get 2 for him. That's a quality pick. Jason Kelce, in his prime, you would get 2 ones maybe for him. Center position's a very valued position. You put Jordan Davis on the open market, you might get a second. I mean, that's how you look at, look at all your draft. Look at Jordan Mailata. If you wanted to trade Jordan Mailata, what round pick would you get for Jordan Mailata if you wanted to trade him now? What What pick do you think you get, a first, second, or third? If you traded Jordan Mailata, see, I'm trying to educate you here. What pick would you get for it if you said, I'm going to trade Jordan Mailata? Hey, Yale says, well, yeah, would it be a top 10 pick? If you were going to trade Mailata, as young as he is, would you get a top 10 pick for Jordan Mailata? Boy, I think you might get. Look at Vet, first and a second. I might ask for that for him. That's a quality draft pick. That's how you draft. Derek Barnett. I mean, dude, honestly, you couldn't get a third for Nakobe Dean right now. You overdrafted those dudes. The kid Jurgen's going to be interesting to see how he plays. I can't wait to see how he plays. Really, I'm looking forward to it. Tough. Plus, you know why? Kelsey was involved in the process, and so was Stoutland. Right? So when you got those two guys in the room with Howie, and those guys are giving their professional opinion on why this kid should be drafted to the Philadelphia Eagles, dude, I'm all over that. Plus, this is why I got high expectations for Cam Jurgens. You know why? Watch this. You got Jason Kelsey here and Lane Johnson here and Jeff Stoutman as my coach in my ear, and Jalen Hurts is my quarterback. How could you not have success? But, however, I still think that transition is going to be harder than you guys think it's going to be. Dude, there's a reason why you're drafted as a center, a guard, and a tackle. Most of the time, if you're moving from left tackle to guard, that's a failure, especially if you're a first rounder. Andre Dillard was a failure. When you turn Andre Dillard into a swing player, that's a failure. Now, to be fair, starting the Eagle O-line could be a problem because there's a lot of quality guys in that O-line. Okay, so to be fair to Andre Dillard, even though I don't like his attitude, Andre Dillard did play on the line with some of the greatest players in the game right now. So I think that's probably why he got that money in Tennessee. Said, watch this. His agent probably went around to some of these teams going, oh, okay, so he didn't start in Philly. You don't have one guy on your team that could start in Philly. That was probably the pitch. Hey, yeah, you're right. Andre Dillard couldn't start in Philly. But what's funny is you don't have a guy on your O-line that could start in Philly right now, currently. So before you start throwing shade at Andre Dillard, you don't have a guy on your team that could start in Philly. Like, watch this. Do I think anybody on the Jets could start in Philadelphia on their O-line? I don't think so. I don't. Watch the Buccaneers. Could that left tackle they have from Iowa beat out Jordan Mailata? I don't know. I think they're pretty comparable. That's why his value was high in the open market. Okay, I didn't start in Philly. You don't have a guy that can. It's great. I heard some of the pitches. The Chargers were kind of interested in Andre Dillard. And supposedly, Telesco, that's where I got the line from. Telesco goes, yeah, they go, well, you probably got one dude, your left tackle, that could start potentially in Philadelphia. And they all went, oh, okay, well, right? Yeah, that dude Tristan's a monster, man. He's a pretty damn – boy, man, him and Mailata, I think, are the same kind of guy. Probably the left tackle in Tampa is a little bit more polished because he's played the game longer. That's all I would say. Okay? All right, let's move on to this. What do you think will be the toughest position to fill with all the losses? What will be the toughest area of the team to address? And what's the most concerning area of the team? You think safety, Jameson? Really? Both safeties? DT, linebacker, Hargrave? So you guys really think that guard position is going to be easy in the running back? I guess, because who's your power back? It's Jalen. I don't ever want to say that. Oh, I like what you guys are saying. But here, let me throw this at you. Man, I don't ever want to have a conversation with any one of you that has anything to do with the running game that Jalen Hurts' name is mentioned first. That's a problem. He'll never play 17 games. Do you know what the number one objective is for Jalen Hurts for me this coming season? It's 17 games, not 35 touchdown passes. The NFC, you don't need to do that. Not with that offense. You didn't need to do it last year. He only threw 22. I don't give a shit about 35 touchdown passes. You get back, I'll tell you this. If they get back to that NFC title game with the current roster, which will resemble this, get September, it'll be a bigger achievement than what they did a year ago. And that means that quarterback is officially elite. Jalen Hurts gets to that NFC title game again. I'll be the first one and the first time I've ever done something like this in my broadcasting career. You know what? Well, no, I've done it twice. I would have done it twice because I said I thought Lamar would never make it. People got on my shit for that. He couldn't throw the ball through a barn door that first year he played when he took over for Flacco. He was horrendous. Playoff game against the Chargers, he stunk. I could not believe the improvement he had. Zeke Elliott to the Eagles, you would take a broken down back. Go get the kid Robinson. Why are you trying to nickel and dime the position? Let me get a bunch of broken down guys to bring into Philly and pray they play. That's dumb thinking. Here, two broken down players, Zeke and Rashad Penny. Hey, but they'll play great in Philly. Wishful thinking. Sills, Eagles must protect Jalen. It's their biggest investment ever. Correct, Paul. That's why I started the show out by saying that running back position, it's the essential part of health. Dude, Jalen Hurts got hurt in Chicago because of the lack of a running game or the approach of the coaches not calling more than 30. Do you guys remember what happened after Hurts got hurt? Okay, do you remember? Buffalo went into Chicago, or they played Chicago. I think that Josh Allen, if I'm not mistaken, I think he threw for 140-some yards. They ran the ball 38 times in that game and blew their doorknobs off. They weren't going to go down the line and getting their guy killed running RPOs up there in Chicago. That wasn't going to happen. They watched that shit on film and said, that ain't working here. They knew they didn't have to. They're not going to put Josh Allen in a position to get banged up against a 4-win football team. I mean, they were not. Game was close like for a while, but they kept their patience and then blew them out. See, one of the issues that I had with Steichen and the entire coaching staff, they lost patience last year numerous times. You know why? Because they never had control of the offense. The quarterback had control of the offense. That coaching staff they put the parameters in place. But the guy who had control, complete control of the offense was Jalen. I can't wait to see Steichen. That's Steichen to me. Can I tell you who I think Steichen drafts in Indianapolis? Anthony Richardson. It's got that all over it. He's going to draft Anthony Richardson. And he's going to take the Jalen Hurts offense, put the structure around it, and they're going to run Anthony Richardson in Indy. You watch. That is almost a slam dunk the Colts draft that guy. Slam dunk. Charlie goes, Jalen Hurts runs his own plays. Yeah, that's what the RPO is. It's his system. I think we get Carter at 10, Gibbs at 30. Watch this. There's only two players that you take ahead of Bijan, Will Anderson and Jalen Carter. The three best players in this draft are Jalen Carter, Will Anderson, and Bijan Robinson, talent-wise. They're not going to go in that order because teams don't put the high value. But don't you think RPO teams have to put a higher value on the running back? More so they do in Kansas City? Guy in Kansas City could throw you out of trouble. That's why he throws 45 touchdowns every year. He throws you out of trouble. Jalen Hurts throws and runs you out of trouble. He has to rely on two. Mahomes doesn't. He throws you out of trouble. And when you throw somebody out of trouble, it doesn't matter how much time's left on the clock. When you're in an offense that has an RPO, you need time on the clock. You can't run a 2-minute drill 14 down in an RPO back on year 20. You can't. You don't have the time to go on a 14-play drive. You just don't. The guy Mahomes if you're down 21 in Kansas City, this guy could come back in 5 minutes. You're not coming back in 5 minutes from 21 down in an RPO system. That's not happening. That's why you've got to keep control of the game. You can never let the game get out of hand. You're down 21 with 10 left. You're done. You can't win that game. That's not the fundamentals of how RPO controls the clock and field position. The defense a year ago helped them out a lot, but I do think that what you guys said yesterday, I do think the offense bailed that defense out. I think the defense kind of started bailing them out late after Hurts got hurt. Yeah, because you have to be able to throw the ball. You have to be able to throw the ball when time is the problem, not just the score. You're down 21 with 5 left. Running RPOs, not happening. They got you. Game over. Worry about next week. Onside kicks and all that other shit you got to rely on. High percentage plays that traditionally don't pan out. If you're running an RPO like they do in Philly, you can never be more than 10 out going into the last 5 or 6 minutes of a game. It can't happen. You're not going to be able to throw yourself out of trouble like Burrow or the guy in Kansas City. That's what makes the guy in Buffalo, but he's reckless. That guy in Buffalo can do that, but he's reckless. As I told you yesterday, that stupid-ass turnover he had against Minnesota, you would have had home field advantage in Buffalo if you didn't drop that ball on the goal line. Tell you what, it had to be the biggest bonehead play of the year. It was a Carson Wentz play. That was a Carson Wentz play. Cooley goes, Dan must be blind that Jalen doesn't throw the ball. Dude, he throws for 20 touchdowns a year. That's not going to cut it down. You don't run that offense in Kansas City. You do not run it. That's why elite quarterbacks blow your doors off. Or you can't beat them. You don't beat elite quarterbacks. Not yet. Not yet. Jalen's going to be in that conversation this year where he's going to be playing against some of these elite guys. We're going to find out. Every elite guy they played against, except for Aaron Rodgers, they beat him or didn't play any. And when they got to one in the Super Bowl, they lost. He threw for more yards. It's not the point. It's situational play calling. In the second half, Kansas City was a conveyor belt in points. They couldn't stop them. And again, have you ever heard me ever really give Jalen any shit for dropping that ball in the Super Bowl and having that turnover, that scoop and score? Nope. That shit happens all the time. Okay? He's trying to make a play. You have never heard me criticize him over that play, ever. Others have. I have never. And nor will I. Happens. Guy's trying to make a play. Okay? I never, even the Monday after the Super Bowl, even really kind of remotely hit on that. It was an unfortunate play. And with a season where he had so many great plays, just happened. If Jalen Hurts was like, how about this, Josh Allen, I would have blamed him. Just so you know, if that was Josh Allen who did that, I'd have blamed him. Because he is reckless with the ball. Jalen Hurts is not. That's right, Yale. It's bad luck. That's all that play was. Dropping the ball on your own goal line with a minute left in the game that gives you a chance down the stretch to have home field advantage in Buffalo is a colossal F-up. That's an F-up. And by the way, the ref missed a bad call on that play, too, if you go back and look at it. Okay, I thought it was hands to the face and all that, whatever. I think the ref, I think that was maybe one of the more egregious misses by the refs in that game, okay, was the play on Hurts on that scoop and score. Okay, so again, all right. I want to hit on something here going into the second hour here. By the way, again, like I said, we're efforting our friend Phil Simms. Hopefully we're able to catch up with him here. I want to talk about the tough position that we're going to have to look at that's going to be essential in having to replace some players, the key essential pieces too. I want to talk more about the Cowboys too. Have they gotten closer to Philadelphia in the East? Or hit on that? Please hit the like button. Hour number 2, keep it here on the National Football Show.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messa & Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Messa & Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
Heading down the shore, have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wild wood days.
My name is Fran Salerno, and I'm a managing director here at Del Valle Insurance Group. Been in the business for over 36 years, saving people money on their insurance needs. Give us a call. Let us help you custom design an insurance plan that meets both your needs and budget.
They're carving them up and good play calling along the way. First and goal at the 6.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Big Seals National Football Show. What's going on in the Michael Irvin case? Love to know, because I told you this. I 1,000% support my friend Michael Irvin. And I will always. You guys have no idea what's going on behind the scenes, and I'm not at liberty to say that he's got personal issues going on with certain family issues. Okay? That never happened. And for the NFL to jump the gun like that, boy, he gonna get him some money, man. Good for him. You should take these people who lie about people all the time on the internet and make all these crazy statements about somebody. People screw up, man, in their past. Okay? They do. But what you had, hey, I wonder if this would have happened. Because Michael Irvin had issues, isn't it crazy? You took Michael Irvin off the NFL Network desk. Brett Favre takes a state hostage and rips them off. People blow that off like it's no business. The poorest state in the United States of America, Brett Favre is taking funds from the poorest state in the United States, and no one's doing anything about it. And they're letting him walk like nothing's a big issue. Michael Irvin comes in, says hi to someone, and you smear his name. Okay? You smear his name. You don't see the media kicking the living shit out of Brett Favre and calling that guy a scumbag. Michael Irvin, who's had issues, I'm not going to lie, I have to, and I will defend him. He's been my friend for 40 effing years. Michael Irvin is my brother. He's been on here, you know the whole deal. I've known Michael Irvin since he was 16 years old. 16. But because he's Michael Irvin, some issues, and he's black. God, there's your difference. I said to my aunt and I said to everybody I'd be cool on this, but I can't do it any longer. That guy's my friend. No, Michael Irvin's not my friend. Michael Irvin's my brother. I know that man, and I know what he's made of. It's funny. Some of you know the story. Okay. Michael Irvin used to run around Green Tree. They're practicing now, camp. Okay? They're running around camp. And it's funny, that place, Green Tree, means a lot to us. It's hallowed ground. It's where all of our championships were made, especially this time of the year. And that dude would be out there running around. He'd have like a Tone Loc, or he'd have one of them big giant stopwatches on. He used to come up to me, and he was 17 years old. Big Sills. Tell you something, man. 4'5", I'm a Hall of Famer. not All-American. Hall of Famer. Okay? Hall of Fame. He used to call him a Hall of Famer. And I'm like, I believe it, dude. Guy used to run a mile forward, backward. We're all out there watching me, Jerome, and all these guys, man. Shit, I played with so many legendary players. And this guy, man, I tell you this, Michael Irvin's the kind of guy you don't want to face, but he's the guy you want on your team. That's a foxhole, dude. Never turn his back on you. Michael Irvin's a foxhole dude, man. He is a foxhole guy. That's a guy you want, dog. Okay? That's right, Lambo. My toughest games were never on Saturdays at Miami. They were Monday through Friday. Hey, Jimmy's inside drills. Do you know he did that same shit at Dallas? That's why Dallas was so productive. He did that same shit when they didn't have all those lame-ass, baby-ass rules now they have for practicing. Why do you think Jimmy's teams were the youngest teams in the league? Because old guys couldn't play there. Man, they went after one another. We went after one another. Man, you're sitting there, man. You take your helmet off, man. After 3 hours of inside drill, ones versus ones, All-American. Dude, do you know who the wideouts were in those teams? Blades, Perriman, and Irvin. And they were all in that drill, too, blocking downfield. When we'd have these controlled scrimmages for 3 hours. I'm playing against Highsmith and Cleveland Gary and all these Testaverde, Kozar. It was incredible. My entire defensive line, we had Jerome would have been a Hall of Famer. Cortez Kennedy was. I recruited him. Crazy. It was just crazy, man. Crazy shit. By the way, I went on and I saw the hubbub. Respect for Penn State. I have respect for Penn State. Hey, big picking today. Back then, I didn't. But today, you know, maybe it's because I'm dumber today. Lucius the Show, thank you for saying Michael is being dragged because of his race and his past. Completely true. Hey, Lucius, white hosts are afraid to say that. Always remember that. Most hosts are afraid to say that. You know why? Because they don't want to pick a side. I pick a side. Right or wrong, I pick a side. Big Sills has no splinters sitting on the fence. Jameson goes, ESPN would cancel Sills. Of course they would. You know why? They can't control me. Let's move on. Self-indulgence is not a show. Hey, Jay, you don't have to pay $2 for that one. I should pay you for that. Stop saying nice things. Gonna make us like you. Oh. Hey, Jay, you don't have to pay me $2 for that one. Oh, man. What? So wait a minute. What other reason would it have been that Michael Irvin was taken off of the desk at the NFL Network? What other reason? He's black and he's had issues. What other place doesn't give a guy due process? And they moved him out of the hotel. I talked to Mike. Sills, I didn't do nothing. He goes, I didn't do nothing. I talked to her for 2 minutes. And I go, did you ask her to? He goes, are you kidding? There's cameras everywhere. I'm not, bro, you know what's going on at home? And I go, I believe, hey, Mike, you must forget some of the shit that you and me have been through at UM. Okay, you must have forgotten. He goes, no, I didn't forget. Please don't bring it up. I go, I never will. And I'll never bring it up on my show. But you don't remember coming to me and asking me for help? I did. Did I? Yes. Don't ever tell me I don't got your back. You got the wrong fucking guy. You know better than this. I know. Let it settle. Because they're going to owe you money, dog. You know how many times I bailed Michael Irvin out in Miami? Let's move on. So I'm reading online. Zeke, I said this yesterday to you guys. Zeke Elliott wants to be an Eagle. How about if you turn him into LeGarrette Blount? Don't you think Zeke? Hey, by the way, guys. By the way, how many touchdowns did Ezekiel Elliott have last year rushing? Hang on, Manster. Hang on. How many touchdowns did Zeke have? Just curious. How many touchdowns did he have rushing last year? Is he a 20 to 20 guy? Probably not. Wait a minute. Ezekiel Elliott had 11, 12 touchdowns last year? Shit. 12. So this guy still got a nose for the end zone. He ain't going to make $8 million. And don't you think he would have an ass with the Cowboys? Dude, can you – hey, Eagle fans, why don't you use the same energy you have hating on the Cowboys, taking one of Jerry's loved ones? Do you understand this is one of Jerry's love child? This is a love child of his. Hey, Zeke, Jerry hates you. We're the Eagles. We have so much respect for how you played. Come here. Come to Philly. Come on. Let's go beat Jerry's ass together. Come on, dude. You're going to love the environment in Philadelphia. Everybody is on the same page here. Shit, is there anybody in the room that's a former Buckeye? Huh, that's funny, isn't it? There's no Buckeyes on the Eagles. That's kind of funny that they don't have any Buckeyes. Right? Anybody, any Buckeyes on? Man, there's no Ohio State Buckeyes? No. Hey, Sway, I'm all for BJ. BJ Robinson, Boston Scott, and Zeke Elliott. Woo! Hey, with that old line and that offense, we'll see. Dude, I just got goosebumps. That means this. You guys would be back in the NFC title game. Screw Ohio State, Lambeau. I'm all right with that one, too. You stole one of our titles. You know what that is? That's a 7-minute. They throw 7-minute flags at the Fiesta Bowl. Can't have those Canes win another one. You got Zeke, BJ, and Scott running the ball. Man, wait a minute. Ezekiel Elliott for the goal line, like you had with LeGarrette Blount. You have a guy who wants to beat Dallas. Hey, get this. You got a guy who wants to beat Dallas more than some of the players on the Eagles would want to beat him. Yeah, and believe me, that Orlando Skander guy, is that his name? Yeah, I really love playing in Dallas, and you know the Eagles. And every time I hear that guy talking, man, he should shut his face, because there's no question when he played in Philadelphia, he loved being a Cowboy more. Okay? Zeke's legacy is in Dallas. But, dude, when you go back and you beat your guy and you beat Jerry Jones, what if the guys get hurt and Zeke goes for 1,100 yards and 9 touchdowns? Dude, you could use all that energy against the Dallas Cowboys. That would be gold. That would be gold. Hey, Jameson, every time I hear that guy Scandrick talking about Philly, he makes me want to beat him up too. He does. Dude, you were in a great – one thing I'm going to say about the Eagle locker room, it's a great place to play. Because it looks like a lot of fun. Dallas is a sideshow. Dude, I don't want to go Hey, do you guys remember a dude by the name of LaMarcus Aldridge who played in San Antonio? You guys remember LaMarcus Aldridge? He was getting recruited by the Lakers, and the Lakers were taking him around Sunset Strip in LA. Hey, you get to have all this, and you're a Laker. And LaMarcus Aldridge goes like, I think he was in Portland, then he went to San Antonio, something like that. And he goes like this, man, I don't give a shit about Sunset Strip. I want to win ball games. Right? And they're taking him around. That's the problem with the Lakers now. People cover the Lakers, and they're not going to make the play-in game. You cover a third team. Because why? LeBron's not even playing. And you cover a third team. I mean, you tune on Undisputed. Here's their show. LeBron, Lakers, Russell Westbrook, Cowboys, Dak, NFL. Good night. Right? That's all it is. Don't recruit me on the scenes. Recruit me on playing and winning. You watch this. When you go to Dallas, you become a TV star. When you go to Philly, you win ball games and NFC East titles. That's the difference between the Cowboys and the Eagles. It's been that way for 22 years. Did you hear what I said? You want to be a stupid TV star? You go to Dallas. You want to be a football player and win games? You go to Philly. And someone will go, what are you talking about? They win games in Dallas? No, they don't. No, they don't. No, they don't. Shit, Jalen Hurts has almost as many wins in the postseason now as the Cowboys have had in the last 28 years. Am I wrong? You can't even beat Brock Purdy. Dude, hey, you got it. And I'm an ex-Cowboy. I got to tell you guys. I won't lie to you, man. I'm getting a lot of information now from the Cowboys. And I gotta say this to you. I won't lie. Stephen Jones and I are dear friends. He's been on this show 3 times. I got a nice email from Tad, the director of communications. I won't tell you the significance of the email. Then I get a text message going, where do you think Zeke lands? Right then and there, I knew that Zeke had it. Let it be known that he had some interest in Philly. and you know who used to do this shit to me? Al Davis. Hey, what's that Charlie Gardner doing in Tampa? Al, I know Bruce Allen. He's like this. He goes, how's he look? How's Tim Brown look? How's that Ricky Dudley look? And I'm like, Al. Or it'd be like this. Sills. Hey, Big Sills, this is Fudgy. Can you please hold for Coach Davis? I'm in my morning show in Tampa. God rest his soul. I love Al Davis. Al wanted me to name my kid Danielle after him. We're sitting at the Palm. Hey, name her Alicia. Al, she's named after my grandfather. Oh, you didn't name her after you? I go, no, we named her after my grandpa. And so Al used to call me. Hey, what's Charlie Gardner looking like? I don't think he makes the team. I think he's done. How about that Ricky Dudley? That was Gruden's guy. He really liked that guy. I hated that guy out of Ohio State. He sucked. Al, man, what do you want me to do? Be a spy for you now? He goes, hey, have I not been somebody here for? And I go, look, I'm not trying to. But then Bruce Allen would call me. How many times did Al call you today? 5. He'd go, what? No, Bruce Allen, 45 years, man. These guys all do this. They all do this because I used to show up and the Bucks would let me come to camp when Gruden and Bruce Allen were there. And so I would be able to go into places, and I went to camp. They used to do it when I was in San Diego with the Chargers. I'd show up at camp all the time. Hey, what's going on down there? I can't do that, man. I'll give you some insight. Phillip Rivers wants a new deal. How do you know this, Al? How do you think I know Jimmy Sexton? The guy, he's an agent. You think I know Jimmy Sexton? Jimmy Sexton told me Phillip wants a new $50 million deal. I'm going, all right. Dude, you put you in a position like that kind of shit. Why do you think you got that same crap going on in Philly? Right? That's right. Charlie Gardner's a Tennessee Volunteer guy. Yeah. Where's Michael Vick when you need him? Hurts is going to be expensive. That's why what some of these guys are saying to you here, you got to invest. How would you guys feel about having Zeke Elliott as Philadelphia Eagle? How would you feel about having him? Don't just say freaking no. Limited role? Why? You guys signed Brandon Graham back. Got to put him in a limited role. You gave a guy $10 million who needs to play more of a limited role. Wouldn't you guys like to stick it to Dallas? Dude, sticking it to Dallas and beating them is one thing. Sticking it to Dallas and beating them with one of their guys is a whole different thing. Plus, you know what you do with that? If he can contribute. I'm not just saying put him on the team just because it's a good FU back to Jerry. No, he's got to be productive. I'm not taking carries away from Gainwell because I want to stick it to Jerry because I want to put him on my roster. That's not what I'm talking about here. The Eagles don't do shit like that. The Cowboys do. They do that to players. They want to sign the Johnny Manziels of the world. Eagles have no interest in dudes like that. That's not how they do it. Zeke's lost all his burst. Hey, Bleed, you know what, though? LeGarrette Blount was never a 20-20 guy. After his first couple of years, they turned him into a red zone guy. Pay Elliott on his production in the red zone. He did have 12 touchdowns last year. That's nothing to sneeze at. And you just lost 12 touchdowns out of your running back position. I wouldn't just go no because he wore the star. I'd go no because I don't think he's got anything in the tank. If that's a conversation, that's a valid conversation piece. But to go because he wore the star, I want to use that fuel that kid may have left. Maybe he does have 1 year left. I'm not talking about signing Ezekiel Elliott to some 4-year contract at $7 million apiece. I'm talking about bringing this guy in to help Jalen. Here, think of this for a second. Could Zeke out every single thing that you guys do on offense from now on has to have the number one priority. Does he help Hurts? Not does he help the team. Does he help Jalen Hurts? The defense is a different story. Watch this. You know, I'm going to use a food analogy here. Your dinner's ready on the offensive side. Dinner's ready. Putting it out on the table. The only thing you have to do on that side of the offense or that side of the football team is put the silverware and the cups on the table and the soft drinks. On the defense, that thing ain't ready to eat yet. That's not ready yet. It won't be ready. Probably till November. That thing's going to have a little more cooking. Shit, you don't even know what you're going to eat over there yet. But in Philly, dinner's served on the offensive side. You're ready to rock. Hey, man, wings, let's hit it. Give me that blue cheese. I'm ready to roll, man. Give me that blue cheese, man. I'm eating all that as much as I possibly can, baby. I'm ready to rock. Defense is going to take a little more cooking. Zeke is a third back? Dude, are you under some impression that you think Gainwell's a great back? He's not. If we had Deuce Staley, Zeke would be on the Eagles because he loves power running. You got a power running team now. You lost the power kind of back. I don't know. Do you think Miles Sanders was a power back? I don't know. 1,300 yards is awful good, though. Okay. Blue cheese. I don't know, man. Whatever. You eat with wings. That's what I eat with them. Linebackers, safeties, depth is where you still have issues on defense. Like I said, man, that defense is not going to resemble a unit until early November. I'll give it early November is when you start to see that thing look decent. Okay? That thing's got a long way to go. You got a long way to go. You don't even know the scheme you're playing yet. You have no idea what the scheme is. I'd love Zeke Elliott on the Eagles. It's funny. I'd like him on the Eagles, but I don't like him on the Cowboys because roles have to be finally established in Dallas. Dallas is 2 years. Do you understand something about the Cowboys and how slow they are to do things compared to what the Eagles do? The Cowboys are 2 years too late on Elliott. You could have got big value 2 years ago for him. Instead, what they do? They waited till the gas can was almost out of gas. Then move off him. That's dumb. I hate when organizations do that. Move the dude when he still has something in the tank. Why would I go like this? It's almost like that with Aaron Rodgers now in the Jets. There's two issues with Rodgers. Time, and does he have how much left? He doesn't have a lot of time, and how much does he have left? And you want to give a one-up for that. That's why the Jets are the Jets. Sorry, Jody. Sorry, Jody, but that's why the Jets are the Jets. Jets give him a 1 for a 39-year-old guy who's running out of fuel going around Daytona. How you doing? Typical Jet move. Instead of going and getting Lamar, here, give me a 25-year-old MVP. Here's 2 1s. All my problems for the next 10 years in the AFC East are over. It's a dumb thing, man. I would never be in that conversation for Aaron Rodgers. At 39, holy cow. Dude, I am not bringing Bob Marley to New York on a 1-year deal, and I have to surrender first-round picks. Sorry, dude. You've been smoking that Jamaica green too much because that I'm out on that. That ain't working for me. What do you mean, man? Nah, sorry, man. What are you talking about, man? I got 1 more year left. You want me to give up a 1 for a guy who lives in a hut in the offseason? This guy lives in a hut. And the only time you know he's alive, it's like the Pope. You know, when they're picking a pope and that white smoke comes out? We have a new pope. Aaron Rodgers is coming out of the hut. Rodgers is coming out of the hut. It's like, we have a pope. Dude, hey, man, I'm ready to play in New York or Newark, whatever. Dude, that's right, Yale. Make that run at the guy who makes more sense. Tell you what, I'm not giving you a 1. I'll give you 2 1s for the guy in Baltimore all night long. And plus, you got Joe Douglas that knows how to build a team because he learned it from Howie and the Eagles. Oh, God. That team's just missing. If Lamar Jackson goes to the Jets, he's in the room with the rest of those AFC teams. You bring Aaron Rodgers in there, it's a freak show. You'll be down on 42nd Street going like this. Strip club. I don't know. Hey, man, I'm going to go back to my hut. you like my Bob Marley because I'm dear. My aunt asked me last night, how's Rohan doing? He's doing good. I'm going to see him soon. I love Rohan. Rohan's coming out to see me here. Been friends for about 30 years. Love the Marley family. Isn't it crazy? Big Sills is friends with the Marley family. I think Rohan's been on our program. Yeah, right? Some of you that have been with me all the whole time. Rohan's been on the program. God, I love that guy. Marley family's cool and loaded. And you know what they do? They send me coffee. Yeah, man, they send me coffee. My wife loves her coffee too, man. Big Sills. There's no former hurricane. Will always be hurricanes. He's right. I love him, man. Bob Marley. I love Bob Marley, man. I love them. Like I said, I love the Marley family. No, Lambo. No was a Kane. He don't like that. He'll always be a Kane. I'm a Jamaican. Your accent's a bit off. Really? I'm an Italian. What do you want me to do? Hey, I sound like I'm from Jamaica, don't I? I got the face of Sicily. Tease. I got the face of Sicily. I tell my daughter that. My daughter goes, how come everybody thinks I'm Italian? I'm like, I mean, the name kind of gives it away, but dude, Zeke Elliott, go get it. Hey, see how much he wants. No. Sorry, Philly. I got to say this because he watches the show. Lenny's the only person my aunt will not allow back on the program because he's too disgusting. She's like, I never want that guy ever to come on ever again. Sorry, Lenny Dykstra can't come on. Mm-mm. No. And please don't show it to him. Please don't show it to him. Yeah, Lenny's Gigi. See, Gigi likes getting me in trouble. See, two things about Gigi. Gigi likes talking shit to me. He likes making fun of me. And he likes getting me in trouble. And he likes leading me down the bad road. See? Gigi, you're no good. Gigi, you're no good. Sills is high again. Why wouldn't I be? I'm talking sports. Why wouldn't I be? Free Lenny. Let's just go, Sills. No, you don't have the face of Sicily. You have the face of high cholesterol. You guys are all sick, pathetic, and useless. I don't care what anybody says, man. And see, everyone talks nice to you. You guys are sick, disgusting, and criminally not cool to me. Did I cry enough? Oh, okay. Cowboys. Woo! How about them boys? Have the boys closed the gap on the Eagles? The cornerback position. Do the Eagles still hold the edge? Yeah. That gap got closed, though. Pass rusher. Micah Parsons versus Hassan Reddick. Micah Parsons is a better player. Hassan's a better pass rusher. He's a better pass rusher. I think so. He proved it to me. He is. Mike is a better player, though, because he can do more. He's a better tackler, and he can cover. Hassan can't do any of that. Better pass rusher, though. But to be fair to Reddick, it's not why they pay him. They don't pay him to cover running backs. They pay him to rush the passer. And he was exceptionally productive last year. So does it make it close? Yeah. Makes it close. Okay, makes it close. How about defensive front? Well, they got two quality guys. If you count Michael Parsons as a front dude with the end in him. See, last year, it was more of a collection of who was the best. That's a great question. Who was the best defensive lineman the Eagles had last year? Reddick, Sweat, Graham, Fletcher? Or maybe the better question is, who was the most important player on the Eagles defensive line last year? Who was the most important player on the Eagles D-line last year? Was it Hargrave? Shit, you could even expand that question into this one. Who had the biggest impact on defense last year? The two corners? CJ, Hargrave, Graham, Sweat. Man, I'm starting to love Josh Sweat a lot. I am a lot. I'm starting to like him a lot. Starting to like him a lot. You know, I thought, how about this? Robert, to be fair to Jordan Davis, I thought he started off okay. I thought he was getting a little better. Then he got hurt, slowed him up, never the same. I thought he was trending up. But then all of a sudden, when he got hurt, he was never able to beat out the two old guys in the middle, Joseph and Sue. He was never able to get more playing time than them. Can't beat two 36-year-old guys out? You're the 13th pick? That's a problem. And watch this. Here's why Jordan Davis, and I'm down on Jordan Davis. I didn't call him a bust. And please, no one say I did, because I didn't. But here's the problem. You gave Fletcher $10 million. He was never able to beat out two 36-year-old dudes. Albeit those guys were brought in to do. But see, when people say this, Sills, Sue and Joseph were some of the best D tackles in the NFL. True. But Linville Joseph was no pass rushing demon. He was a run stopper. Sue's a borderline Hall of Famer. He'll be debated for the Hall of Fame. There's no doubt. He's one of the elite guys. When Sue went to Miami, he made $20 million a year. That was like 5 years ago. Okay? That was like 5 years ago. He made $20 million in Miami. Funny, Miami's defense got worse when he got there. They got a Super Bowl ring, I think, in Los Angeles with the Rams, and then he got another one with the Bucs. But his most productive years were in Detroit. He had 11 sacks or 12 sacks one year, 10 sacks. The guy was an elite dude. He was a great college football player at Nebraska. Fantastic. But those guys were designated as one-dimensional dudes, run stoppers. They weren't pass rushers. Not at their age now. And Jordan couldn't beat them out. That's why we go, Jordan Davis is going to ball and have a great season. Again, wishful thinking, man. Until that guy shows us where he is a dominant force. Here, let me think. Will he ever be Aaron Donald? No. But could he be Fletcher Cox? I'm going to make a point to you. And I think here's his ceiling. You pray he turns out to be the best Fletcher Cox version, because what you don't want him to be is a Vince Wilfork. Not that Vince is bad. I love the guy. He's got 3 Super Bowl rings. But Vince was never a pass rusher. And he was taken down in the low 20s. Okay? Or in the late 20s. He was taken in the late 20s. Again, overdrafting. I will make this, as of right now, I think they overdrafted him. That doesn't mean he's a bust. But they overdrafted him. That's the key in drafting. Don't draft a guy who's not at that respected spot. Watch this. This is why they miss on quarterbacks. You know Will Levis, do you want to know where he's ranked when it comes to the top players? I told you B.J. Robinson is ranked 3rd. Do you know where Will Levis is ranked? He's ranked like 19th. He's going to be taken in the top 5 picks. That's overdrafting and wishful thinking that he's going to be better than the 18th pick. You're hoping. You're hoping. Chris goes, do you think he rebounds? Chris, I don't think it has anything to do with rebounds. I think it has to do with improvement. Does he get better? I think what you saw, watch this. I think what you saw Jordan Davis is who he is. He can be a force against the run, not very good and not very skilled as a pass rusher. And he's going to have to develop into that. You have to understand. Watch this. In 6 years of football, he's got 9 sacks. 4 years or 5, is it now 5 years? In his 4 years at Georgia, he had 9 in 43 games. This year, he had none. So in 5 years, he's had 9 sacks. For Georgia, 1 NFL. It's kind of who he is. Now, better coach. Well, I don't know. Tracy was at Georgia. There's no upgrade in coaching in Philly. There's no upgrade. Coached him there, Georgia. You're not getting better coaching. Now, you know what could be the issue? How do you know this new scheme doesn't benefit him? The best case scenario for Jordan Davis is that this 34 turns that guy into a ball hawk. Could that be? I'll give you guys a story here on a player that this happened to. And I kind of broached this a couple weeks ago to you. You guys, I think you even had him in your market. You guys remember Bert Grossman. Bert Grossman was drafted out of Pitt by the Chargers. His first 2 years in the NFL, he had 20 sacks. Played in a system that fit him perfectly. They changed the system. He was never the same. He was never the same. And this is where I'm going to say this to you about Sean Desai. I think it's an upgrade. I think it's an upgrade from Jonathan Gannon. And here's why. He is more of like Frank Reich, Buddy Ryan, Bud Carson, Jim Johnson. Why do I say that? Why do you think I say that Sean Desai is like Jim Johnson? Why would you think that? That I would put him in a conversation with like a Pete Carroll? Why do you think that this is an upgrade from Jonathan Gannon? This coach, he won't have great personnel. I think it's more of the same with less talent, but I hope I'm wrong. Kyle hit it. Lucius, kind of. Kyle, that's exactly correct. He's going to look like Jim Johnson would and go like this. How can I utilize Hugh Douglas? Hugh don't want to tackle. He don't want anything to do with that. He just wants to rush a passer. How can I take that player, put a defense together like Buddy did in the 46 defense? How can I get all these players in a position And how can I make this work? Realistically, how low could Bijan fall, you think? 14? That's why I say trade down from 10 to 14 and get more picks this year in rounds 2 and 3. And you get the third best player on the board. Bijan Robinson is the third best player in the draft. And if you grab him at 14 or 15, that's the value pick. You don't need a quarterback. Jalen Hurts has done so much for this draft. They just don't really have a lot. I want to roll back to Sean Desai why it's an upgrade. He's going to take these pieces that Howie's going to give him, and he's going to put together a scheme that fits the utilizing of all their assets. He's more of that. Because what did Jonathan Gannon do? Jonathan Gannon never fixed holes. He asked Howie to. He never at any time, they couldn't stop the run. They went and got 2 guys. Schematically, he never fixed anything. The guy Dan Quinn in Dallas, he never went to the personnel people. They just schematically fixed their run defense. You guys have to remember when Mike Nolan was there 2 years prior, I think the Browns ran for 340 yards on them. It was one of the worst run defenses in the history of the Cowboys, if not the worst. Quinn walks in there and puts him in the middle of the pack. It was like a 15% or they went up like to 15 from 30. Okay? That's where this grade up is. Parlay goes, have you seen the picks for 2024? Grab Bijan now. Don't gamble. Parlay, I opened my program out one more time. If you want to help Jalen Hurts out, a guard, a corner, a safety, you're an offensive team. Protect him. You need him not to carry the ball. Bijan Robinson's your pick. If Jalen Carter and Will Anderson are still there, then it's a tough conversation. But the 3 best players in this draft this year are Jalen Carter, Will Anderson, and Bijan Robinson. Those are the highest graded players. Those 3 are the highest graded players. You're going to take a guy like Joey Porter Jr. at 10, who's ranked 21st. That's overdrafting. He's like 17, 18, 19, 20, somewhere down there. You overdraft at the quarterback position, not at cornerback. It's why the Eagles bomb at corner, bomb at wide receiver. The wide receiver position is turning out to be tougher to evaluate today as it is evaluating a quarterback. I mean, look at how many of these wide receivers just absolutely, it's hit or miss. I think it's got a lot to do with the signal caller you have, too, in your building. Eagle Way, do you believe the coaches only teach technique? The bull rush only? No. I'll give you a for instance. David needs to work on technique and footage and lose some weight. Eagle Way, I'll give you, because I was coached by a guy in Detroit by the name of Lamar Leachman. And he coached Lawrence Taylor, Jim Burt, Leonard Marshall, and all those players. And you know what he would do? Every single day, Lamar would have, funny, Lamar looked like he was like Thomas Edison, had this white hair. I'll post a picture. I love this guy, man. God, he was such a great dude, Lamar Leachman, D-line coach. And what he would do is he would put these feet where your feet were on pass rushing. Boom, boom, boom. And you had to hit the footprints. And then you hit the bag and you did your hand movement. You did a rip, hands down, out, slap, down, boom, turn. Remember something. If you're going to bull rush somebody, sometimes just bull rushing like this, your hands are shorter because most old linemen are got longer arms. Like Barrett Brooks has longer arms than me. And if I do this, Barrett's got me, right? But if I do this, I'm just as long as him. And you can knock them off their feet, swim, and come around. And so they teach you these techniques. Knowing full well when you get into a football game, what you end up having, you apply 20% of that. But what you do is you keep practicing that as much as you possibly can. Tracy Rocker's the D-line coach. He's a former teammate of mine. Tracy knows what he's doing. Coached at Auburn, South Carolina. Coached at Georgia. Recruited. Tracy Rocker knows what he's doing. He does. Outland Lombardi winner. You got a very good coach there. There's a reason why the Eagles kept him, because he's highly sought after. The two most sought after coaches that are in your building are Jeff Stoutland and Tracy Rocker. Tracy Rocker can get a job anywhere. He's one of the most respected guys. Him and the guy in Pittsburgh. It's funny, both those guys are my teammates. Carl Dunbar, who ran the combines, who I asked questions about the kid. I'll tell you somebody who's starting to intrigue me is Nolan Smith. Nolan Smith is starting to intrigue me. I'm watching more and more film, and every time I watch him, he really pops up, and he really flashes when you watch him on film. This kid Nolan Smith, I love the kid Branch. I do. I really like – I like the guys Devon Witherspoon, love Jalen Carter, Tyree Wilson, Bijan Robinson. I do. But this guy Nolan Smith, he's starting to flash more. When you watch film of the prospects, he's totally starting to flash more. So and plus look at where he's coached. He's coached at Georgia. What did he run at the combines? He ran some insane time. Never get around speed. Guy has speed. I mean, that's something you always want in a football player. You never want a guy with bad feet. But this kid Smith, man, the only problem I have, he's kind of like a tweener, though. But in today's NFL, a tweener's okay. A tweener is a D lineman. Can he put his hand down in the dirt? Can you play him up? Can he cover? And Tone said it right a couple weeks ago. Man, you don't have four dudes that could get out in coverage. In today's NFL, you're kind of behind the eight ball there a little bit. You got kind of a hole in the middle of your defense. Okay? Because if you can't cover all the schematic. Look at what Kansas City did. I mean, Pacheco, Schuster, Travis. These guys are all running crossing routes. If you have four down linemen, okay, that can get home, that's one thing. But if you ain't getting home, you better have four backers that can handle themselves back there in coverage. Yeah, Bleed, he's kind of similar to Reddick. He is. He's a little undersized. Do you want two dudes on your football team that are kind of undersized? Very productive. Very productive. And he's quick as shit. I mean, watch him on film. Look at his numbers. And plus his hands. See, that's to me something that you have to. I don't think Jordan Davis has very good hands. I don't think he engages with the offensive lineman very well. I think he's got to improve on that. And I guarantee you that's probably some of the reason he didn't end up beating out those guys. He stays too engaged. You got to get off those guys. Run around the block if you have to. Jerome used to tell me this all the time. Run around that guy. If he's getting to your front side and he's maybe quicker than you, then run around the backside on him. That'll slow his ass up. You got to play a chess game with some of these guys. Like a guy like Jason Kelsey, you know what you got to do to a guy like that? Because he's such a good flat step guy. And what I mean by that is Jason Kelsey, when he snaps that ball, instead of taking an up degree step, he takes a flat step and up. It's called slip and scoop. He's so freaking good at that step. I've never seen – I thought Kevin Mawai was good at that. Okay? I did. I thought and he was very good at it, but made the Hall of Fame. But Kelsey just steps up, dude, getting up that, and he's great with his hands. Kelsey must have been like an offensive player or something in his past. He must have played another position as a young dude, because he's not a slughead offensive lineman. He's very athletic. Okay? He's very athletic. And he takes that flat step, gets up, scoops up on the linebacker. Dude. But what you do to a guy like that, you run around him, slow him up. Don't let him get up on that scoop on you. Offensive linemen hate one thing. They hate D linemen getting penetration in the backfield. They hate it. They just totally hate that. Steve goes, just got here. Zeke wants to play here. Hey, Steve. Steve, I'm going to write that down. We'll reset that, okay? I got to take a timeout. Zeke to Philly. Steve H. Steve, we'll hit on that. Reset from my open. I want to hit on this again, okay? By the way, I'm waiting for a text from Phil Sims. I hope we get him today. If not, we'll probably get him tomorrow. Phil's been on the program 5 or 6 times. We love Phil Sims. He's in production. Last hour of the program. Please hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messa & Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Messa & Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
Heading down the shore, have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wild Virginia.
My name is Fran Sileo, and I'm a managing director here at Del Valle Insurance Group. Been in the business for over 36 years, saving people money on their insurance needs. Give us a call. Let us help you custom design an insurance plan that meets both your needs and budget.
They're carving them up and good play calling along the way. First and goal at the 6.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Big Sales, hour number 3. Appreciate you coming aboard. Thank you so much. We'll get to Steve's take here in a second. I just want to reiterate on some of the stuff that we hit on. We appreciate you guys coming aboard with us here. Before I get going here, Steve, I got your deal here. I want to ask you a question. Do you think Philadelphia is a destination for free agents? Or better yet, why is Philadelphia a destination for free agents? Why do you think it's a destination? Why is this a place? Here, and I'll make the comparison to Baltimore. I don't think Baltimore is a place any longer for free agents to go. If I'm a wide receiver, I don't want to play in Baltimore. Ask Hollywood Brown. I have no intention of wanting to play wide receiver in that city unless you're overpaying me. I have no interest in playing in that town at all. I might if I'm a running back, but you're going to underpay me because the quarterback he carries the water in that city. I don't think Baltimore any longer is maybe defensively. Roquan Smith went, but remember, it was a trade. He was traded there. I don't see free agents clamoring to want to play in Baltimore. Best fans, hey, no doubt. Not, but that's not part of the equation when players are picking places to play. That has nothing to do with paycheck. Okay, this is about paycheck, winning, playing time, culture, all of that. Fans, again, not dismissing it. Not dismissing it. Buffalo's a great place with fans too. Okay? Money, winning, all of that play a factor here. Okay? Why is you think Philadelphia, if you're a free agent, by the way, let's look at what just happened. Philadelphia lost all the guys who were free agents but one dude. You lost everyone. They didn't want to stay. And I hear people say, well, that was expected. Well, I kept hearing people say people were going to take hometown discounts. Not one of them took a hometown discount except Darius Slay. The rest of them left. Nobody took a hometown discount. They were all paid above big time what they were making. They never stayed for the culture. So before you answer that, think about it. The Eagle Way. Dan, you have Tracy show Davis Jerome's film from when he played with the Eagles. That would help him massively. 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 It will teach him how to cheat. You got to play games with these old linemen. These guys are gifted today. These guys are really gifted. Pit stop, really? Yeah, but parlay. A pit stop is a place like the New York Jets. They don't win, they overpay, and it's a shit show. Philly wins. So it's not really a pit stop. I kind of it is. Okay, kind of it is. But they win in Philly. Dude, you can't dismiss the amount of success that the Philadelphia Eagles have had. You just can't for the last 22 years. You cannot. But at the other end, not one player, but one stayed. Rest of them left. Why is this a place that you think free agents want to play? Here, do I think Philadelphia is a place that if I was a free agent, I'd want to play? Well, they couldn't really go after any top flight guys. If you notice, they didn't really go after anybody good. They went after people that were decent, not good in free agency. And they got supposed deals and guys that they're hoping pan out, whatever. They got guys like that. They didn't get any frontline guys like they did a year ago. Now, the two significant moves that they made last year were all trades. A.J. Brown and Gardner Johnson. Those were the significant moves they made in the offseason. Signing Reddick, too, was a significant move. The Bradbury deal turned, multiple deals on signing. Remember this. You ain't signing another guy for $8 million. Where are you getting that guy from? There's not a guy in the open market right now you can sign for $10 million. Who? Who have you signed for $10 million? You couldn't even sign Gardner Johnson. Who did you sign for $10 million? You signed your guy back, Bradbury, and you gave Slay a haircut. Okay, it was more so moving money around, and you gave Fletcher $10 million. Players on one-year deals have recorded productive years, and healthy roster. Bradbury stayed for less too. Bradbury made $8 million. He's making 14. I don't know what you're talking about. He got a pay raise. Graham, Cox, and Bradbury all stayed. Graham and Cox were not priorities. Okay, they stayed. I'm not gonna talk down those signs, but we'll see. They were older guys, and you overpaid for Fletcher. Okay. Okay, vet. Okay. The question is, do you think Philadelphia is a destination for free agents to want to come and play? They're not doing the Brady deal like they did in New England, coming to Philly to play for less this year. They're not doing that. Nobody did it. Nobody's done that. I don't see anybody lining up going, hey, I'll come here and play for less money. Who? However, hang on. However, this is why I think Philly's a great place to play. Culture. They keep you relatively healthy. And I'll tell you something. After what I saw this last year, if I was a free agent, I might take less though. Because here's something to think about. Man, Bradbury got a raise. Kaiser White got a raise. Every level of play got a raise. You may not think shit of TJ or Kaiser. They got pay raises. You may not think shit of Miles Sanders. He got $7 million. He got $7 million. They gave him $25 million. CJ went from $800,000 to $8 million with 1.5 in incentives. Dude, when you come to Philly, there's a chance you could cash the chips in, and there's a chance I could create market value for myself. Bradbury got shown the door in New York. Came to Philly, produced. Guy's making $14.5 million. So to me, Philadelphia is a place you, plus no longer is it the wide receiver hell. Dude, the biggest thing you have on the front door right now is wide receiver hell was Philly and Baltimore. No 100-catch guy. Haven't had 1,000-yard guy since what? Jeremy Maclin. Prior to this, I mean, wide receivers are not really in the history books outside of T.O. and Mike Quick. Not D-Jacks, handful of guys. These two dudes that are here, AJ signs for $20 million. If I'm a free agent guy and I'm a wideout, to $20 million. They gave that dude $20 million? Dude, if I'm DeAndre Hopkins, Philadelphia had to be like something that you kind of thought about a little bit, but because of Devontae, you can't get him because Devontae's the next heir apparent to AJ. So you sit here and you do this. Dude, tell you what, man. Wide receivers, they got 2,000-yard wideouts on their team. An up-and-coming quarterback. A culture that's cool. They keep you healthy. Philly's a pretty good place to want to come and revamp your career. And plus here's something that's so important to all that. They see an F up, they'll move off it. You know how many organizations in the NFL just don't move off that shit? They keep hammering that thing. And the Eagles are a little guilty of that. Derek Barnett, Jalen Reagor, Andre Dillard, all those guys are all prime examples of hanging on to something that doesn't work. You hung on to those three guys, and it does. I mean, to sit here and tell me Derek Barnett's going to have a breakout year in 2023 after 7 years is nuts. This guy's a liability when he hits the field. What was the line that Sirianni used on him? Always something with that guy. Head coach is barking that. Head coach is barking. It's always something with that guy. Dude, that's something you don't ever want to have when it comes to your resume, the head coach talking shit on you. Okay? I mean, Paul's like, Jerome made the biggest impact in a short period of time. He's an all-time legend. Totally. But, dog, the dude played next to him, 92. I don't know. He comes over from the USFL, and I think in 10 games he had 22 sacks. I don't know. The dude that wore 92, man. If it wasn't for him, I'd agree with you. But dude who wore 92, man. He comes over from the Birmingham Stallions. I think he only played 10 games, and he had 22 sacks. I think the dude from Tennessee, man. Okay? That guy from Tennessee was awful good. Man. Phew. Reggie was just a different dude. Let me get over here. So Steve asked about Zeke, and I'll reset here in a minute. Clyde Simmons too, man. Them guys were great. Not good. Great. Charlie goes, how strong was Jerome? Here, can I tell you? You want me to tell you a story? Please. 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 Listen to the story. It's not an indictment. Steve, I'll get to you here in a minute. So, you know, I'm a big weight room guy. I'm in there working out. I bench 550 doing this. I run 4.8s. I work my ass off. I mean, I work my ass off. Jerome walks in. I'm not lying. He got a bucket of KFC. What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? And I'm like, not this guy, man. Not this fucking guy. Because what? That's Sileo. Sileo, you ain't white. You're Italian. White guys don't run that fast. You know, you can't say shit to the guy because this guy ruins games. What are you doing? I got 600 pounds on. I got leg wraps, belt. I'm sitting here. Jerome puts his bucket of chicken down. No belt, no knee wraps. Does it 10 times. And I go, he goes, there's my workout. And I'm sitting there and I'm going like, and so Kevin Fagan and I are sitting there. I got my head down. I'm shaking my head and Kevin goes, what's wrong? He goes, he's just a country strong kid, man. He just, man. Jerome put his arm around me, goes, got to work a little extra harder here, son. And I'm sitting here doing this. Jimmy's laughing at me. I'm going, he just walks in here, man. No warm up, no nothing. The 600 pounds 10 times. And I'm going like this. And he's just laughing at me too. He's just laughing at me the whole time, laughing at me. And I'm sitting there. Coming to Brooksville with me this weekend? Yeah, I guess. But hey, one thing on Jerome, I saw that. Let's see here. Steve-O, need your help to push the Bijan train sales. The Eagles listen to your show. We need Bijan. I know they do. One last thing. I saw that guy versus Oklahoma at Memorial Stadium have 25 tackles, a sack, block punt, block field goal, block extra point, an interception. We made shirts for him that had the Oklahoma helmet on the ground, Jerome's pants down, taking a shit in the Oklahoma helmet. I've never seen a guy completely destroy a football team like that. I'm walking off the field, man, and I'm like, I had like 8 tackles, and I'm going like this. He looked at me and goes, "What's up?" I go, I've never seen a person destroy a team like that. It's destroyed. He broke Aikman's leg in that game. Aikman got his leg broken, too, by Jerome. And he transferred to UCLA. He broke Aikman's leg, an interception, a fumble recovery, a block punt, a blocked extra point, broke Aikman's leg, 2 sacks, and 25 tackles. I got to the locker room, and I looked at him, and I went, that's single-handedly the greatest football game I've ever been a part of, watching a guy destroy a team that didn't throw the ball. Just completely destroyed them. It was Oklahoma. They were number 1 team in the country. Number 1 team in the country. He destroyed them. Michael Irvin and I, and we're all watching this. Testaverde, we're like, you shook your head. Buddy Ryan comes down. I've posted the picture on Twitter. He comes down. He takes Jerome and me, and I think Winston Moss out to lunch. He looks over at me, and Buddy goes like this, "What'd you think of that OU game?" I'm like, I'd never seen anything like it. Stupid-ass Norman Brayman was there. Norman Brayman has his Cadillac dealerships in South Florida, and we're all like, we knew then he was going to the Eagles. Just was a matter of where the Eagles were going to take him. I think the Eagles had the 9th pick that next year in the draft. Had the 9th pick. Fuck. And he was fucking destroying that team. And you know what's crazy? By the end of the year, I would out-tackle him. I would have more tackles, more solos, more tackles for losses, but he destroyed teams. That's crazy, man. I had to work so hard. One year I finished with the bowl game, 95 tackles. I had 95 tackles and like 7 sacks, 13 tackles. I had a really great year. Jerome had like 75, missed a couple games, didn't want to show up. Some shit. He gets into a West Virginia game. First 9 plays, 3 sacks, TFL, breaks the quarterback's neck. I go sit. It was a privilege to play next to that guy. And that's when Joe Paterno called us Salt and Pepper 2. Best 2 tackles he's ever seen. I posted this since Millen and Clark. There used to be a guy named Bruce Clark, and you guys know Matt Millen. And he told Jimmy, he goes, these guys are just as good as them dudes. They kill teams. Me and him killed teams, but he destroyed teams. And when he got to Philly, man, Buddy loved him. Buddy loved that guy. He totally loved that guy. He did. I would say this to you. Mike Singletary and Jerome Brown were Buddy Ryan's favorite players. He liked Keith Jackson too, man. And he wasn't that much plugged in, but Buddy loved Jerome. Loved Seth. Man, he had a fondness too for Wes Hopkins and Andre Waters. You know, I heard Buddy say that he thought the secondary on that Gang Green defense was better than the 85 Bears. Buddy, I always thought the Gang Green was better than the 85 Bears because of Reggie and Jerome. They had Mike, they had Dan Hampton and McMichael in there. And how many Hall of Famers are on that team? Hampton, Singletary. Otis Wilson wasn't a Hall of Famer. Ron Rivera was on that team. I don't think anybody in the secondary made the Hall of Fame. Jerome would have been a Hall of Famer for the Eagles. You guys would have had him as a Hall of Famer. For sure, man. Hey, dude, what a tremendous athlete. Jerome was a tight end at Brooksville. He was a tight end. And when he got to Miami, that was the thing that we did at UM that most programs don't. I was a linebacker. In high school because I was pretty fast, but not fast enough to play at UM. They moved us all If you ran a 5 flat at Miami back at 35, 36 years ago, Jimmy moved you to offense. And if you like Warren Sapp was a failed tight end at Miami. Do you guys know that? Warren Sapp was a failure tight end from Ocala. He was getting his ass kicked. And by the way, at Miami at the time, they had Shockey, Winslow Jr., Chazinski. They had all these big-time tight ends. He couldn't get on the field. And finally, this guy named Mark Caesar goes like this. We got pretty good feet. Why don't you play D-tackle? After that, his first game, he crushed Florida State. They started watching film of me. See, for years, they had tapes of me and Jerome. Ed Ogeron, who came on the program, said that there used to be this tape they had of me and Jerome playing the 1-and-3 technique. And Sapp and Russell Maryland and all these guys watched it and how we played it. And all the things I tell you, cheating, tilting, doing all this stuff, we used to tell the kids how to do it because there was a way to get around it. And plus, you know what was really cool? Jim Burt would come back and teach us. Lester Williams would come back. Don Smith would come back. My favorite guy who used to come back used to be Ted Hendricks. Ted Hendricks would come back, and Ted Hendricks Jimmy would always do this. I'll get to everything here in a minute, I promise. So Ted Hendricks is like one of the greatest football players of all time. And he used to always show up drunk. And Jimmy and all these coaches would come up to me going, Sileo, your friend's here. I'm like my friend. My friend, Ted Hendricks, right? The stork. So Ted's walking in. He used to always show up in this baby blue Corvette convertible. And this guy stumbling around. Sileo, your guy's here. Jimmy would come get me. Can't have him around these guys drunk like that. And he was suspended one year because of cocaine use with the Raiders. So they go get him. Go, please. I'm in the middle of practice. I'm getting ready for a week against, I don't know. And they'd all start doing this shit. Hey, man. He'd go, please go. Sileo, I'll take you out with one of these motherfuckers. Don't kid yourself. Yeah, I know, Ted. I know. And I go, we're not, by the way, we're getting a cab for you, man. You leave your car here. We'll lock it up. We can't let you leave. What do you mean you can't let me leave? The beautiful 63 split window coupe, like convertible. We can't let you do that. I'm not letting you walk off the pros. Jerome walks over. He goes, you got a new friend, huh? And I'm like, man, why do you call me in to do this, man? This should be your shit. Why am I doing this? Jerome would go, because he's white. I'm like, everyone start laughing. Jerome would go like this, because he's white. Oh, man. Good stuff. All right, Steve. Zeke to Philly. Woo! Zeke to Philly, baby. 12 touchdowns? Why not? Right? Dude, I would love to use that energy that he has. You know he wants to. Hey, you know why he wants to play in Philly? He wants to play the Cowboys twice. He wants to play the Cowboys. So use that. Now, depending on what the price tag is, okay? Depending on what the tag is, I'm not paying that guy $5 million. That ain't happening. And he ain't getting that. So what you do is, and I think Howie will do this, he's going to have to be humbled. You know, you find out, man, nobody's going to pay me more than $2 million. Man, he's not going to pay me. Howie comes in and goes like this. Here's 1.5 with $1.5 million in incentives. You hit them all, you make $3 million. You recoup your reputation. You show you have something left, and you put the Philly culture in his face. You put the Philly culture in his face. Hey, look at all these dudes that got paid last year. You want to be one of them guys? How do you know we don't do it? The Eagles now have built equity up with all the free agents in the NFL. You want to come and recoup your career? Hey, did Bradbury? Yes. Did Slay? Yes. Did TJ? Yes. Did Kaiser White? Did you? He wants to play in Philly because of the offense. Dude, completely. That's even it too. But Vet, think of this. So Javon Hargrave, how much did you guys get Javon Hargrave? Do you guys, can you help me on this? What was the deal that got Javon Hargrave to Philly? How much did it cost the Eagle? What was he making, like $12 million? 12.9? Something like that, right? So you got a 12.9. I think his salary was 12.9 last year. This guy just left for the West Coast on a $20 million, $84 million, 60 guaranteed deal. Ow! Max goes 3 years, $40 million. He leaves Philly. Bro, I come up to him and go, Zeke, let's have a come to Jesus conversation. You ain't getting any. So let me get this right, Zeke. You go to Minnesota, run on the turf and by the way, he's 28, but he looks like he's 38. You could play against the Cowboys and on grass. What if he goes to San Francisco? How about San Francisco grabbing his ass? They got the money. Zeke Elliott in the backfield with that Pro Bowl fullback. Who's playing quarterback? Who cares? There you go, Philly. I like that. You pick up Zeke if you don't draft Bijan. RB's trending down. Hey, dude, I'm going to make the point again as I opened up the program. As much as I love Devon Witherspoon, as much as I love Jalen Carter and Will Anderson, because the Philadelphia Eagles have a new change in direction because of what they did at the cornerback positions, you can't afford to draft a corner and have him sit this year. You can't. You're going to be young and inexperienced at a multitude of positions this year. Trade at it at 10. Go down to 14. Get B.J. Robinson. Put him in your backfield. Behind that line, I would make the prediction that Bijan Robinson would rush for 1,500 yards on a rookie contract. You got cheaper and better. Isn't that the key to this? Getting cheaper and better so you could pay Hurts. And he protects Jalen. How does that not make sense? You're no longer a defensive football team. That's not going to happen until next December. Maybe middle of October or middle of November. Maybe. You're no longer a defensive football team. That thing's not cooking. You don't even know what to cook for dinner yet. You are relying on that offensive football team to carry the water to the NFC title game. Utilize it. Utilize it. And if you're going to put a $50 million investment into your quarterback, why wouldn't you continue to put investments around the QB? Let me draft a safety. Okay. If we're also confident that Howie can retool this team with players and trades like Gardner Johnson or bringing a guy in like Avonte Maddox or some of these other moves that he's made like Kaiser White or finding a TJ Edwards. You got to remember something. Those guys are paid now like premium players, and those guys were found. Think about something with Gardner Johnson. Remember what I told you about Howie? One thing Howie is great at is what? Pro personnel. Who in their right mind thought that Gardner Johnson was that good a player, making only $800,000? I didn't. Led the NFL in interceptions. Now he makes $8 million plus 1.5 in incentives. Roseman and his pro personnel people are fabulous. Let him retool that side of the ball with pro personnel. Keep that football side with offense young. And it is. That goes, Hargrave's price tag was way too high. Agreed. He was on a milk carton in the playoffs, and he also was getting up there in age. He was great while it lasted. Everything true you said there. Everything. And I thought that too. He was a little suspect against the run. You know, he's 30 years old. He had 11 sacks, $20 million. I'll pass. I will. It's a huge loss, especially when you put the collection together. But $20 million? See, here's the problems that Howie had. What do we always say? The money positions: corners, edge rushers, wideouts, tight ends, left tackles, quarterbacks. You're going to pay $20 million for a tackle and $10 for a safety? That's why they passed on Honey Badger. It passed on Honey Badger. Why? Well, you know, look at this. Look at how the Eagles even took advantage of the Saints. They got the pick from the Saints. Look at how they fleeced New Orleans last year. New Orleans' only saving grace was that Peyton went to the Broncos. Because you know what happened? Look at this. So you get Gardner Johnson. He was the right safety. You overpaid for Honey Badger, and you lost a first-round pick. If I'm Mickey, excuse me, if I'm Mickey Loomis, I think I probably have a lot of conversations with the Benson family. What happened? Yeah, wasn't a good year for me. And I was $46 million over the cap. Right? Philly goes, you can't say Davis is a bad pick. No, I said Davis was overdrafted. As of today, he's overdrafted. Didn't say that. He's overdrafted. He's not the 13th pick. 13th picks traditionally are pass rushers too, not run gap stoppers. So what'd you do? Use a 13th pick on a fire hydrant? A little more than that from that position. I need more impact playing from that position, like Micah Parsons. Something like that. You know, when you're around at 10 to 13 in there, I got to have a guy like that. Like a Patrick Surtain. Not a guy who's a fire hydrant. Fire hydrants are at 27, like Vince. That's okay down there. 13? Nah. Got to be better. Got to be better. And like I said, in the last 5 years, I mean, he doesn't have a lot of sacks. It's not who he is. He's got 9 sacks in 5 years. 4 in college, 1 in the pros. With a goose egg this year. He's got as many professional sacks as I do. Got to be better. It's got to be better. Look at King Poodle goes, Parsons is invisible versus Lane. Okay. Lane hasn't given up a sack since Moses parted the Red Sea. Okay. You're making that sound like Michael Parsons is the only guy that Lane doesn't kill or something. I don't know what you're implying. He kills everyone. Lane's a Hall of Famer. Michael Parsons is not. Remember Michael Parsons getting in a back and forth with me last year? Because I said, don't have anybody ever ever compare that guy to Lawrence Taylor? Lawrence Taylor in losses destroyed teams. That guy is like Casper the Ghost. Sometimes he's there, sometimes he's not. Okay? Micah Parsons, he's not better than Pat Swilling. I know all these guys. You think that guy's better than Ricky Jackson? Here, let me give you a little history on Micah Parsons. Shit, there was a point in the season where Hassan Reddick was outplaying him. Pat Swilling, Ricky Jackson, Mike Coffey. You guys remember Michael Coffey from Detroit? He was a heck of a pass rusher and a really good outside end. Shit, man. What's his name? The guy who played for the Rams and the Steelers. Kevin, he just passed away. What was his name? I got his number in my phone here. Doesn't matter. He's passed on. God, he was such a good friend. What was his name? Derek Thomas was insane great. Kevin. Yeah. Kevin Green. Still got his number. Wow. And I had talked to him too. Kevin Green, man. What a great guy. What a great player. Here, I'll do this. He's passed on, but there's Kevin Green. I can't show you Kevin Harlan. Who's under him? Kevin Harlan and Kevin Kennedy, Kevin Sumlin, Kevin Colbert, Kevin Cork, Kevin Frazier. Jesus. A lot of Kevins in here. Kevin Glover, Kevin Demoff, president of the Rams. A lot of Kevins. Seau, all them dudes, man. All fantastic ball players. Kevin Green was a tweener, and they didn't know what to do with him when he came out of Auburn. And you're trying to tell me you think that Michael Parsons is better than Kevin Green. Kevin Green had like 140-some sacks. Guy was a phenomenal player. And when people, you know, because the media likes to blow up these Cowboy guys. This guy Parsons, he's so special. I'm like, I don't see it. I think he's good. But how about this? From like week 11 on, do you think Micah Parsons was more special than Hassan Reddick? I don't. Derek Brooks wasn't really a rush end. He was a Tampa 2 linebacker. Another good friend of mine. Love him. Okay? Seals name dropping. Yes, I am guilty of that numerous times. Kevin Hart, I only wish Gigi. Hey, but Gigi, just so you know, Big Sills never has a guy under 5 foot in his phone. I had to. Okay? I had to. Big Sills doesn't have anybody under 5 feet. Okay? No men under 5 feet are in my cell phone. Dude, if you need a Tokyo phone book to look Big Sills in the eye, you're not usually in my cell phone. Bill says, Big Sills question for you. Why did Howie Roseman Gardner Johnson walk to Detroit Lions for $8 million when Howie Roseman offered? I don't believe he offered him $12 million. I do not believe that. I do not believe that. I think that's media made up. I do not believe it. I do not believe he offered that. That is not what his agency's saying. And I do not believe that. That's the cover of the Eagles' ass. So the media people are going to come up with these two new things for Gardner Johnson. he was a little bit of a headache in the locker room, and they offered him a multi-year deal at $12 million. So he took 8 in Detroit. Get this, nobody plays in Detroit. You know why nobody signs in Detroit? Why? Taxes. I'm going to show you something here. Here's a pay stub for Big Sills from the Lions. See this? It was like one of the bonuses I made or some shit there. Okay, you see that? 10 grand. It was some, I don't know, my roster bonus or some shit. This was before. They only took FICA. Let's see what the number is. So at the top here, what did I end up getting? I ended up getting like 92.35 of it. So they took like $765. Now they got this new thing. See Detroit Lions down there? Does it say down there Lions? So, no. But Yale. Now what they add is an entertainment tax and a union tax. And they take $1,500 out of it now. So they would take out of this $10,000, $3,000. So think when you sign for $1 million. When you sign today for $1 million in Detroit, you get 700. You get 700 grand. You got to pay your agent 5% of that. So what are you walking out of the room with? 600 grand. You're making 600 grand. You go to play in Florida or Texas or Arizona. 92.35 sounds right. Nobody signs in California barely, too, because of the taxes. That all plays a factor. Detroit, when I saw Gardner Johnson went to Detroit, I went, dude, Denver offered him too. Denver doesn't have a state sales tax. I was like, shit, you went to Detroit, the place that kills you the most in taxes. Gigi goes, I'll take it. Gigi, I don't mean to sound like that. You know what I mean. Hollywood, no comment. I'm going to take a timeout. I got to take a timeout here. Please hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Mess & Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Mess & Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
Heading down the shore, have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood days.
My name is Dan Sileo, and I'm a managing director here at Del Valle Insurance Group. Been in the business for over 36 years, saving people money on their insurance needs. Give us a call. Let us help you custom design an insurance plan that meets both your needs and budget.
They're carving them up and good play calling along the way. First and goal at the 6.
field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Sales National Football Show. Appreciate you coming aboard. Please hit the like button. So Cam Newton had a great workout. Cam Newton, Andy Dalton, Cam Newton, Baker Mayfield, Cam, Zach Wilson, Cam Newton, Cam, Davis Mills, Cam Newton. Cam. I mean, those are starters. Cam shot. Okay, well, are we under some impression? You know, it always goes into the conversation like, hey, did you see T.O. destroy that football team? Who's the quarterback? Jeff Garcia. Who? Jeff Garcia, whatever. Who's Jeff Garcia? Who's the quarterback? I know who he is. T.O., excuse me, Garcia is out the door before Terrell Owens is. Well, he's a diva. And coach him. I hate that. Guy wrecked the locker room. Well, fix it. Fix it. Well, you don't want a guy like that in a yes. Well, I don't want a guy that has 1,500 yards and 100 catches and 14 touchdowns and 18 yards a catch. You're out of your mind. Why is it okay to have Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay but not Terrell Owens? Any difference? Oh, I got it. Rodgers' delivery is a little bit kinder, but he's still an asshole. But Terrell Owens? Who cares? Coach him. Coach him. That's your job. Short of killing people or being a bad dude towards women and animals and elderly, I don't care. Coach him. Seriously, my rules, animal abuse, children abuse, elderly abuse. Disrespecting women. You're not on my ball team. Anything else goes. People make mistakes. Guy smoking weed. I could care less unless we're talking about something that's decision-making where you have a big decision to make and you're throwing stupid shit in the building. Hitting women, that's not going to be tolerated in my locker room. Because you know why? I don't want the guy sitting next to my players having to answer to a media turd why you accept that guy. I'm not having that. You're not hitting women. You're not hitting women. You're not abusing children. You're not abusing animals. If you don't stand for something, friends, you'll stand for nothing. You can't have that. And by the way, if I had a locker room, I would make it very clear. I don't want to hear any shit about politics, religion. I don't want to hear any shit about what your sexual beliefs are, because you know why? It leads to nothing. I don't want to hear any of that. Because quite frankly, I don't care what your political beliefs are. I could care less. If you're a Trump guy or you're not. What's that got to do with playing the Cowboys? Honestly, I would sit there if two dudes were barking about a religious thing or a political thing. I'd sit in my locker room and go, this is the dumbest shit on the planet that I'm in here wasting my time. I got 10 minutes here of my time I'll never get back in my life because you two guys are talking politics. Stop that shit. Cam to Baltimore, I like that. Stop that shit. Got a game to play this weekend. I need your energy on beating the Cowboys, not beating each other up. That's dumb, counterproductive. And as my friend Joe Krause would say, it's punching down. If you're going to go after somebody, punch up. I love that line. I think that's one of the reasons why the Eagles probably have a great locker room, is because Brandon Graham, Cox, Jalen, Jason Kelsey, they probably police all that shit. Hey, we don't need that here. You know why? Because they probably went through all that bullshit with Carson Wentz. Okay? Not having that. Dude, the Eagle locker room has made a transformation. And the biggest thing, get this. Do you know what led to their success, I think? Cleaning up their locker room first. They cleaned up their locker room, and then they cleaned up their roster, and then they won ball games. I'm trying to think of the places now in football that have a great locker room. I probably think Pittsburgh does, because Tomlin polices that. Of all the coaches in the NFL, Mike Tomlin's my favorite coach, and I'd want to play for him. Of all the coaches in the NFL, Mike Tomlin's the kind of guy I want to play for. Okay? Carl Dunbar. There's like 3 coaches that are on that coaching staff that I know and I played with. I think Alfredo Roberts is the tight end coach. He played with me at UM. And Carl Dunbar played in the World League with me. He's the D-line coach. And there's one other guy in the building I think they hired. I forget who he is. But that whole coaching staff is guys I know. And he says Tomlin puts people on blast. He used to kill Ben Roethlisberger. Yeah, that's right. Weezer, kneel on your own time. I don't want any of that bullshit. I don't care about that. Okay? I would have told Kaepernick, I have no problem with you being an activist. As a matter of fact, I like guys that have their own opinion. I'm good with that. You ain't doing that shit in my locker room or on my sidelines. That is not happening. You know the greatest thing about Muhammad Ali was? He never did any of that shit in a ring. Ali never used his sport as a shield for his political beliefs. And I don't count praying as being an activist. You believe in God, that's a great thing, no matter what your religion is, Protestant, Jew, Catholic, Methodist, whatever. Praying is praying. Ali never protested in the ring. Ever. These guys protest now in these sports. You're not Ali. You're not even in his room. There were 2 Alis. Outside the ring and in the ring. That's why he's so remembered. God is good. Quan, God is great. God is wonderful. God makes the world go round. God is why we're here. I was raised in a very religious home. You guys might not think. I went to Catholic schools too. Okay? Very religious. I told you the story before. And at a funeral, I had a red scarf on. My aunt blew a gasket on me. Get that scarf off. Are you crazy? I was like, okay. I was like, okay, get this red scarf off. I was like, okay. Yeah. Oh, man. Hey, by the way, so just to reiterate, as I opened the show, Bijan Robinson is the 3rd best player in the draft. A guy like Joey Porter Jr., he's ranked right now the 18th. Who would you draft at 10? Joey Porter? Because you need a corner? You overdraft him? You're gambling? That's more of a gamble? Or you take the 3rd best player in the NFL draft this coming April at 10. What do? This is where teams fall into trouble. You overdraft. Hey, man, number one objective, if I'm paying somebody $50 million, is to protect that guy I'm paying $50 million. That's Jalen Hurts. Bijan Robinson helps that kid continue his progress in winning. NFC sucks. Eagles have a shot. Appreciate it very much. We apologize about Phil Simms. He'll try to do it tomorrow. He said in the first hour he got caught up in production meetings, so we appreciate him doing that for us, getting back to us. So we look forward to talking to Phil Simms tomorrow. You know, Phil comes on all the time with us. Xander, thank you. Big Joe, thank you. Tone, absolutely great job as always. We so appreciate all of you. Please hit the like button. We'll see you tomorrow, 3 o'clock Eastern, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messa & Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com.